The myth of closure. But this doesn't mean that when we submit to the process, we will experience a fairy tale ending. The idea that every story must wrap up with a clear, visible triumph is a Hollywood notion, not a prophetic one. Modern storytelling has conditioned us to crave closure, the neat resolution where every loose end is tied and every villain is defeated. But when we look at the lives of the prophets, we see a striking lack of what the world calls a happy ending. We see Nuh alayhi salam losing his son to the waves, and Lut alayhi salam losing his wife to the destruction. We see Yahya alayhi salam, the sole inheritor of the legacy of Zakaria alayhi salam, being executed. We see Isa alayhi salam being raised to the heavens before he is ever given a clear victory over his enemies. Why is this so common in the lives of prophets? The acceptance is the test. The goal was never to change the outcome. The acceptance of the circumstance is the victory. Closure is for the akhirah. This life is the middle of the story. If we demand complete closure here, we are essentially saying we don't believe in the hereafter. The meta-narrative, the prophets, are not solo heroes. They are links in a continuous divine chain. Every prophet salam gave glad tidings of the coming of Muhammad, and every one of them warned their people of the Dajjal, yet only Isa alayhi salam will deal with him directly. They played their part in a story far larger than their own lifespans. Even the story of Yusuf alayhi salam, which seems to fit the classical hero's journey, differs in one essential way: the deliberate removal of the mentor. In any other story, Yusuf's father, Yaqub alayhi salam, a wise elder and chosen prophet, would be the perfect guide to shape his son's development. Based on all human sensibilities, he is the ideal match for the task. Yet Yaqub alayhi salam is deliberately blocked from having any influence on Yusuf's growth for decades. Instead, Yusuf alayhi salam is thrust into the opposite ends of the moral spectrum, surviving environments of extreme decadence in the palace and extreme brutality in the prison. By stripping away the perfect mentor, his father, and environment, isolated nomadic life, Allah demonstrates that guidance is his domain alone. He can cultivate a heart with or without the standard means. There was no human mentor because the only guide was Allah. Wallahu ghalibun ala amrihi. And Allah is predominant over his affair, but most of the people do not know. Surah Yusuf 12:21. Yusuf alayhi salam didn't need to hustle his way to the throne. He simply had to remain faithful in the dark, and Allah brought his story to its perfect conclusion. The prophetic cure for a restless heart. If the prophets themselves were denied the Hollywood ending we so desperately crave, then we must redefine what it means to win. The prophet's lesson taught us that the root of our anxiety is not the presence of hardship, but our resistance to the pull of Qadr. To be at peace is to accept Allah's decree as both inevitable and just. This is captured in the profound supplication he taught for those overwhelmed by grief and distress. Allahumma inni abduka, wabnu abdika, wabnu amatika, nasiyati biyadika, madin fiya hukmuka, adlun fiya qada'uka. O Allah, I am your slave, the son of your slave, the son of your maidservant. My forelock is in your hand. Your command over me is forever executed, and your decree over me is just. While it feels counterintuitive to our human nature, letting go of the illusion of control is the only path to true peace. Our deepest fears often stem from a loss of control, yet that very surrender is the key to tranquility. Our anxiety thrives in the gap where we doubt or resist the divine decree. This dua is the ultimate dismantling of the self-made hero myth. It acknowledges that our very forelock, the seat of our will and decision-making, is in his hand. By affirming that his decree is both fulfilled, inevitable, and just, purposeful, we stop fighting the seasons of our own lives. We realize that we are not victims of life, but subjects of a wise king. Accepting your fate. Ultimately, this shift in perspective is the only way to bridge the gap between our quote-unquote articles of faith and our actual emotional experience. We must move from the serpent's promise of self-forged destiny back to the prophetic reality of ubudiyah, servitude. To find peace, we must stop trying to be the heroes of our own scripts and start being the servants of the divine decree. Like the vegetation of the earth, we find our greatest strength not in the power to control, but in the wisdom to submit. When we wonder why we feel so much anxiety, we must look at the script we are trying to follow. We are trying to be the authors of a story we do not own. We are trying to engineer outcomes in a universe that belongs to Allah. You cannot be the director of a life you didn't write. You can only accept the role you were intended to play. Peace isn't about writing your own story, but the tranquility in accepting the one Allah has already written for you.